Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Married with a Business. I'm Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're Married with a Business. We're here to share tips, tricks, stories of what it's like to be like us, which is great, but also married couple that owns a business, raises a family, coaches teams, volunteers locally, runs. What do? You're running mastermind groups. Like, we do a lot.
Yeah, we do a lot. But we did something fun recently.
We did. What was that?
The Savannah Bananas came to town.
Yes.
And we love the Savannah Bananas. We love Jesse and Emily, and we love Matt Grafer, the young professor. They've all been on our podcast if you want to check out their episodes. So we are always excited when we get to see them live and in person.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, what Jesse and Emily Cole have done with the Savannah Bananas, I know we talk about it a lot. They were on our show back in 2022. That's 3 years ago.
Wow.
And they just their story and their ability to chase success has been amazing. And it's great to see them be so successful. We went to Fenway Park in Boston to see them, which was awesome. And congratulations to them and everything that they've done.
Yeah, and the boys had a great time. We took a friend who'd never seen them, so it was like a new, fresh experience, and seeing it through their eyes was awesome.
And we're going to be talking about chasing success today, Allison.
Yeah.
And are we still chasing success?
I think what we needed to talk about, and what we have been talking about this last week as we've dug into our life plan and revisiting our life plan, is what does success mean? And what is our personal definition of success now versus what it may have been 5 or 10 years ago? I think that's something we have been struggling with as we talked about in the last episode. We've been in the midst of change where the kids are moving into the junior, senior high school. Our niece has graduated. And instead of looking, not that we're old and we're looking at retirement, but instead of looking like towards the future, we're looking towards the back end of adulthood and adult parenting is more what I mean.
Well, speak for yourself about looking towards retirement, because that's kind of, but no, with that said,
we have to always be looking towards retirement or we'll never retire.
Correct. But with that said, I will say one interesting thing, and this is more you than me, because you are, we've always said this, you're the nerd of the relationship. And does that mean you're the fun person in the relationship? I think so. I think it does mean I'm the fun person. But okay. One cool thing is that we have for almost 20 years now, we've done these, retreats or these days where we disconnect ourselves from work and we do sort of like goal planning. They've changed over the years. They used to be very business centric. Then they became kind of personal goals. And what's kind of neat is we document it all. Yeah,
I found this one that we did in before I think we even knew what we were doing in 2008, right after we had bought our first house. It was super weird to look at because we were just babies and we didn't know what we were talking about.
And our goals were our goals now, they seemed, I don't even know how to say it. Not that they seemed small, but they just, now I look back at them going, oh, we should have thought or pictured a little bigger.
But I also think it's interesting because there were times back, so we had already bought our first house then, but even before we bought our first house, when I remember walking in the woods and you were like, we're never going to be able to buy a house. Well, we're never going to be able to retire. And thinking what today's us would have said to 25 years ago us is so interesting.
Yeah, today's Craig would have been like to 24-year-old Craig, you got to calm down. You're way too worked up about something at 24 years old. But
I think part of the reason we have gotten to where we are is because not that we were worked up, but we were thinking about what does success mean to us.
Yeah, and I think that, I think what's helped us in our business and in personal and in our marriage is that we do take time away from everything, away from our kids, away from the work responsibilities. Generally, we try to go away. This year, our kids were away at camp, so we were able to kind of do it at home because there were no distractions or less distractions. But take time away to just spend a day or 2 days focusing on making that life plan, thinking about those bigger picture items that you don't deal with every day when you get up and have to go to the office and reply to emails and make phone calls.
Yeah, I think for me in particular, in the last 6 months, I've been struggling with that bigger picture. Like, what truly matters to us in life? What are our values? What does financial freedom, what does time freedom look like to us, to me? And what does a good life look like? Is it about pushing harder at work and being bigger and taking on more of those issues? Or is it in the next 6 years that I have left with the boys being here, being able to spend more time with them? Work-life balance doesn't mean that everything's equal sometimes. And where do I need to see that balance right now? And if I give up the pushing hard here, what do I have to give up? What do I get on the other end? And does that success balance out for me?
Well, and I think that up until maybe the last handful of years, to us, success was more a dollar driven, not necessarily like how much we made or how big the company was, but like it was just more money centric. And I think that we have come into a place in life now where it's becoming a little less. Like, it's not that it's not important.
It's important because you want to live a certain lifestyle, but is it also important to be at the baseball games? Is it important to be at the robotics competitions? Is it important to support their Boy Scout troop? You know, am I just as a successful person because I can do those things? Not just because I'm always at a work event.
Well, and we've talked to, I mean, and we have plenty of friends, and this is a story I think people hear a lot. We have a very close friend who, had a very successful corporate life, was doing very well, had like, in their, mid 30s or whatever, had like this ginormous success, corporate success on the horizon, and then made the decision to leave it sounds like a Hallmark movie, by the way, but to leave the corporate life, and not that they went and started a Christmas tree farm, but to size it down and make it not so much about having the, multi-million dollar accounts and just having the life.
And being able to coach baseball and go on vacations with their kids. How do I want my kids to remember me? At the end of the day, my team at work is going to remember me one way. My homeowners are going to remember me another way. But do I care as much about that as if I want my kids to remember me? And on the back end of the kids getting into high school, those are things that I can have that bigger picture conversation about what truly matters to me. And so we've had those conversations this week, right? So that's talking about success. And once we kind of talk about those values, we have started to deeper dive into what is really bringing us joy and fulfillment. What are the things that I'm passionate about, which I'm still not sure, and what are my strengths and talents? Those are hard conversations when you've spent 25 years being really driven on building a business and not thinking about all the other things about you as a person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to I know that there are probably a ton of people out there that would have loved to have been famous musicians or actors or whatever and have a job or a position in life now where they didn't have that, and that is a dream for them. But I think understanding like what your strengths and talents are in real life and making those successful is important. And so, and I think the other thing is you go through this whole thing and like, would I love to be a professional musician? Yes, but you also have to be practical about it, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to go out and be the next, I mean, maybe I could, but I'm not going to be able to go out and be the next like giant rock star at 50 years old. So like, I have to be practical about it. Like, what does success look like for me in my life, and make sure that those goals and those ideals align with what success is for our family as well.
Yeah, and what are the fears that are holding us back, and how can we overcome them? We talked yesterday when we were talking about this life plan about like we haven't been risk takers. Could life look differently if we had been more willing to take risks the last 20 years? And probably, but did the potential loss outweigh the potential reward for us, I guess? And I think there are things that we have taken risks on, but like when you look back at it and you go, you compare yourself to other people, which is the worst thing you can do. Stay off Facebook.
Right.
Stay off Facebook. Stay off Instagram.
Stay off social media. No, unless you're following us on social media and Facebook. But, I think that but you have to, like, when you do like this idea of like looking at everything, you have to be, practical about it. And you have to realize that, you still have to get up and go to work and make money. Like, we all would love to live in a van and surf or own a bar in Key West, but those aren't practical.
For some people they are.
Maybe
for
they are.
us they aren't.
For us, they're not.
Because we've decided, because here's where it comes back to. We've decided that our values lay somewhere else. But what we're working through now, and what I hope you guys can all take some white space to work through, is like, what does success look like in different areas of your life? Like right now, I think that's where we're at. We're reevaluating what is success at work, what is success in our relationships, what is financial success and healthy success. And I think we all go through seasons of life where it's time to reevaluate that. And right now, because we have so much other change where the kids and our niece are changing schools and they're moving into different phases of life, it's been a really good time for us to reevaluate that too. Because as your kids grow up, like, my center of my importance has been them. And now they don't need me as much and they don't want me as much. So like, what does success mean if I'm not the person running the den or running the troop or running the sports program?
Yeah, and success is a very personal and a very unique thing to you or your family. We talk about this all the time. We go back to these stories from when we were in our 20s and we were trying to pay off the debt that we had incurred from college and vehicles and all those things. And we talk about how our friends were going out to the bars and having fun in their 20s and going out into the city, and they were wearing the really nice, what was the cool thing back then? Like Patagonia? Is that like, but is that still a thing? But like, they were wearing the expensive jackets and all this stuff, and we didn't have any of that. And we made decisions, success for us was getting rid of that debt. And that's, in our opinion, that's a good thing. But you have to remember that like success or the definition of success evolves over time.
And we have to be specific. We have to be specific about what that definition of success is for us in this phase and how are we monitoring it. So as we just updated like some of our life plan, like this time around, we were very specific about what the goal for success in each of these areas meant. And then,
well, let's talk a little bit about our life plan and how we do it. Because we when we first did this, you said like whatever it was, 2008, 2005, 2007. When we first started doing this, we didn't really have any sort of guideposts, right? We went away for a weekend and we talked about here's what is our 5, 10, and 15-year goals. What does the business need to look like? What do we want to look like? Like we talked about, those kind of things. Now we use a couple of different things to help us from a personal standpoint with a life plan, and then from a business standpoint with the VTO. Like we use a few different ways to help us, measure and set those marks.
Yeah, so for home and personal stuff, I found the book Living Forward by Michael Hyatt, and I think we've talked about it before, but this book is great because it gives us a step-by-step outline of how to move forward and identify those goals. And it gave us a great little workbook of questions to ask each other to kind of identify those areas that we're most concerned with. So we started by understanding what our need is and to avoid drifting through life and just having things happen with us. So kind of talking about what are our values and what's our, what have we regretted up till now, and how do we take responsibility for our life?
Yeah, and it helps you go through this like step by step of creating your plan. It's kind of like the core idea of the book.
I like systems and checklists.
And that's what it is. It's a system for creating a life plan. But it does put a lot of work onto you, and it talks about like these life accounts. And actually they have a website now that's really great because we kind of went through. You go through the website and it kind of gives you sort of like a measurement of what is a lift and a drift and what you need to focus on and get better at. And so Michael Hyatt's Living Forward is great. The other thing it makes you do, probably the hardest thing it makes you do, is it makes you write your your own eulogy.
Yeah. How do you want other people to remember you when you're gone? What do you want them to be saying about you? And are you living that life out now? I think the other hard thing is you can do it on your own, right? We do it as a couple because we are a couple at home, we're a couple at work. I think every time we've revisited it and had conversations, like you said to me yesterday, you said, I feel like this is a lot about Allison and her issues. And in the past, it's been a lot about Craig and his issues. And so you do, because of where you are in life, sometimes you have that back and forth.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing interesting about it. I mean, you could absolutely, it's probably more designed for somebody to do it on their own by themselves, like singularly. I think for us, we have, and this has been Allison and Craig from the get-go, we have kind of always done everything as a team, and we've been we approach it all as like the Allison and Craig entity. Like we are the train.
Where they go two-headed monster? That's weird.
We are the two-headed monster. But no, and I think that if you are a married couple and you don't have this, it's a good way to help you guys, communicate with each other, because we talked a lot about this, where I think I was a little fearful about talking to you about where I see some things in personal and business and moving forward, because you've always been such a a go-getter and, the next big thing and let's keep moving. And some of the things I was like was, hey, maybe we do need to throttle it down a little and focus on some other things. And I think it helps us communicate, some of those emotions to each other better in a controlled manner.
Yeah, I think it helps us not be resentful of each other as we go through our day-to-day lives, because we have sat down and agreed on some goals and some visions, and as long as we move forward making decisions based on those things, then I don't think we get frustrated with each other as much.
And then the big thing after that is you go through this whole thing, you identify these life accounts and the things that you need to work on and the things that are running smooth, and then you make it happen. It sets up sort of like a action plan for you to do these quarterly actions and yearly actions and review them.
Yeah, and I think the reviewing them is the biggest thing. When I felt like we have been, or I will say feeling words, that I have been drifting the last 6 months and I really want to sit down and do this, I was intrigued when I pulled it out and realized that we hadn't done it since before COVID. Life is so different now than before COVID, right?
Right.
But as we read through, there were so many things that we valued then that we value today. And have we made progress on all of them? Yes. Did we make the same progress we thought in the beginning of 2020 that we were going to make? Maybe not. But it was kind of cool that because we'd had those conversations, even without reviewing it the last 5 years, we had still been moving forward in the ultimate goal.
Well, and I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. Do you say we do have somebody who's listening to us that, maybe their spouse isn't in business with them, maybe they're on their, is living forward something that a husband and wife should just do anyway?
Oh yeah.
I think it really helps you sort of, align those goals especially if you feel like they're out of balance.
Yeah, because we didn't do it for the business. You can do it for the business. We did it for where do we want our family to go and where do we want to go as a couple. I have a woman who's in one of my mastermind groups right now. She's kind of going through her business portion of it, and then she and her husband are going to sit down and talk about how does her business portion of it align with their family life plan.
Right. And I think that's really important. And for us, we approach the business, and I know we've talked about it on past episodes, so we won't get into it here, but we use Gino Wickman's,
EOS traction.
Yeah, traction. We use Gino Wickman's traction in the the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer. Golly, man, having a hard time with words today. But that's very much more like setting business goals and approaching those things of growth or whatever it might be for your business. For personal, we've used Michael Hyatt's Living Forward Now. This, I think, and we had this discussion, I think this is the third or fourth time that we've gone through it. It was definitely stale. We had said that like you said, we hadn't done it since around COVID. And so we've made a commitment that next year we're going to dive back in and review it, and we're going to be better about that.
It's on the calendar already because what gets scheduled gets done. Even if we have to adjust the date a year from now, it's on the calendar and we've committed to it. So hopefully that will help.
So we're, to kind of land the plane with this, like chasing success and setting up your life plan, Allison. To learn more about Michael Hyatt and the Living Forward book, go to livingforwardbook.com. And on there, you can do the online assessment. You can find the book. You can see more about it. There's some videos on there you can watch about Michael Hyatt.
Yeah, and definitely take advantage of our Audible offer and download the book, and you can start listening to it in the car and you'll have it as a reference.
Yeah, audibletrial.com/bizmarried, a free 30 days of Audible on us. And Living Forward is, you just re-listen to it again, leading into this meeting. And it's a great book. It's a great way to help you set up personal success, right? And be organized about it.
Yeah, I think every time you do it, you get something new and different out of it. So I think I've listened to it about 3 times over the last 5 or 6 years now.
And you can also check us out. We're online. Check out marriedwithabusiness.net. It is our website, Allison. People can go there and do a lot of things.
Yeah, you can listen to episodes. We've got resources. You can see more about us. You can request to chat with us on an upcoming show.
Yeah, we'd love to have more information about you if you're interested in being on our show. Talking to people about what it's like to be a married couple that own a business would be awesome. So reach out, marriedwithabusiness.net. You can also find us on social media. Look for us on Instagram at BizMarried. That's B-I-Z married. Or you can search for us on Facebook, Married with a Business. Connect with us. We love talking to people and hearing other people's stories, like Jesse and Emily Cole of the Savannah Bananas.
And last night, I met a guy who owns a Christmas tree farm.
Yeah, right. With somebody we've known for a couple of years now, and he was like, "Oh, and he goes on the side, I own a Christmas tree farm," and I'm like, "You own a Christmas tree farm?"
So amazing.
So awesome. But anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back with another show soon. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.